SRAM just launched not one, not two, but 4 new group sets. There's SRAM Force and Rival AXS on the road side, and then on the gravel side you have Force and Rival AXS XPLR. I got some ride time in Portugal, and I have some thoughts. But let's start with the Explorer side of things.
Oh man, they did it! They did what we were all hoping for. So let's do a little counting here. This is it. This is what we all hoped they would do. There are also rival bikes around here. So they took 13 speed, which is what everyone was amazed with last year, and they have pushed it down market to Force and Rival. Let's see how this rides. I'm very excited.
Right out of the gate, up a steep hill. Shifts just fine under full power. Well, the climb didn't stop. Got a good climb here, good stiff climb. And part of me wants to skip over the 1x13 a little bit because I've ridden it a lot. Reviewed SRAM Red Explorer last year. Feels exactly the same. And I'm riding Rival. We're kind of bouncing on and off the paved sections right here. And just like Red, this is every bit as good on paved. It is as off-road. Usually run 1x13 if you want to do it on a road bike, especially an all-road bike. So normally I film at the top of a hill, completely out of breath, absolutely dying. But this time I'm filming at the bottom of a hill. And the reason for that is the brakes. Last year SRAM Red Explorer set the standard. No one else was even close. And this year, Force and Rival are bringing that same standard. They've moved the pivot point, and you can 2-finger brake from the hoods, never pinch your fingers, and you have all the power you could ever want. As you might have noticed while I was riding, my big takeaway was just how close SRAM Rival AXS XPLR and SRAM Red AXS XPLR are. So I was curious, was that by design? So I'm here with JP McCarthy, and he is the road and gravel product manager, but he's really the one-by guy. This is the gravel man. Yeah?
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's right. I've been working on one-by for drop bar applications for 10, 12 years.
All right. So I did I'm doing like a first ride review. Didn't spend a lot of time on the Rival 1x13, and so I kind of wanted to just check in with you and like see if my idea matches up with your idea, because you're the man who helped create this. And really what I've been telling people is it feels more or less like Red. Like there's hardly any difference. Is that what you're going for?
Mission accomplished. Yes, that's exactly what we wanted. We've got really good response, especially to the red braking for gravel applications. And we want to deliver that same excellent ride experience to everybody who's riding SRAM on gravel.
Now obviously SRAM is pleased that I don't think there's a performance difference across the different group set levels, but that doesn't mean there's no difference. The difference is price and weight. SRAM Rival XPLR AXS will run you $1,743 at launch, and it weighs 2,923 grams. That's a savings of $615 compared to Force, but it is going to add an extra 237 grams. You'll have to decide if that makes sense to you, but if you want to get more details, jump into the written review where I have things even more broken down. And for now, what we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the road side, because there's 2 more group sets that we still have to explore. There's Rival and Force on the road side.
When I left my house in Portland, I didn't have any idea what I was coming to. I had heard something about maybe Force, but yesterday when I walked out, it was a surprise to me. Today, things are not as much of a surprise. I know we're doing a road ride, and I think that I'm going to be on Force 2x, and it is not 13 speed. This is 2x12.
I'm editing right now, and I just want to break in and make sure that I'm being clear here. On the road side, SRAM is 2x12. And when I was in Portugal, that felt sort of natural because Red is 2x12. But now as I'm watching this back, it feels a little timid. I mean, Campy just came out with 2x13, right? Now, SRAM would say that they need a new chain and that everything is built on the back of the chain technology. Except, again, Campy just came out with 2x13, and while we all knew that Force and Rival probably wasn't going to bring an extra gear, Red just launched last year, so that means it's going to be a while. Now there's this 2x13 thing that's hanging out there, and it feels like they're missing something, because 1x13 on the gravel side is such a breakthrough for SRAM that all of a sudden you're like, well, what about road? I don't know. It's something to think about. It's something that I'm noticing as I'm watching this. For now, let's get back to the ride footage.
You have Force?
I didn't do the negatives when I was talking about the Rival Explorer group set yesterday. And one of the ones that I would definitely point out is the hoods. Now, the revised hoods are the same as Red. There's no real difference, but those hoods, they're much more difficult to hold if you want to do it in a narrow position, sort of grab the tops. They're short and they're wide, and I'm talking about it today because when you ride Force and you notice the button, you're like, oh, well, this makes a lot of sense. But without that button there, Rival, it feels like the hood shape is just a little bit off. But it does, and it's still there when you're on Force or Red, but at least then it makes a lot of sense because the button for changing the gears is suddenly right under your thumb. Just absolutely crushed a Coke, and I haven't done a lot of filming during this ride. Part of that is because it's the second day and it's a little bit faster, everybody is more intense, but also, a big part of it is that I don't feel like there's a lot to say, but that's a good thing because I'm riding Force today. It feels exactly like Rival yesterday, and it feels exactly like Red did in the past. The one thing I will comment on, and I commented on this yesterday on the gravel bike, but I'm going to do it again because I think it's so important, is the quality of the brakes. There was a moment where we're coming down a steep, sort of windy, narrow, and it's road, but there's gravel in spots, there's people I don't know, and I want to know that my brakes are there for me, and they absolutely are with the SRAM system.
Does that discussion of Force AXS seem a little light? I think so too, and the reason is pretty simple. I can only say the same thing so many times. Rival through Red is all the same performance. If it's Explorer, then you need a full mount bike, and you get a 10 through 46 cassette with 13 speeds. If it's road, then it's 2x12. It's as simple as that. SRAM Force AXS is going to run $2,842 at launch, and it weighs 2,776 grams with a power meter. That's a savings of 217 grams compared to Rival, but it costs you $913 extra. Now, there is one more thing to think about on the road side, which is a little bit of an oddity with the power meters. A long-standing complaint about SRAM was that the power meters were integrated into the chain rings. Now they have fixed that for this generation. There's now a dual-sided thread mount power meter and chain ring combo, except there's still a direct mount version that is single-sided and goes into the spindle. On top of that, there is a 1x-Aero chain ring that still has the integrated power meter. It is a confusing mess for consumers. Overall, my negatives about these are not really all that negative. And that's because SRAM is making it really simple. They're saying you get the best top shelf performance for less money. It's really hard to complain about that. The thing that they're also doing is that they're saying the quiet part out loud, and they're saying Red is really about style. If you want the best, it's lighter, but it's also more expensive. Now, if you're willing to go down a little bit, then you choose Force if you like the bonus buttons, and Rival if you really just want the best price. They're all the same performance throughout, and that's a good thing.